This is Channel 7 News Scene, your #1 source for news and information covering the Bay Area and the West and the world, with Van Amburg and Terry Lowry, Bob Marshall with the weather, and Jim Solania with sports. Now for News Scene, Van Amburg.
Good evening. Here's what's happening. There are two major stories at the top of our news tonight. First of all, the cleanup and confusion in the wake of yesterday's gas main leak in San Francisco's financial district. You are going to be looking at a live minicam picture of the area that was evacuated yesterday. The more than 30,000 people driven from their homes. Offices were back at work today, unsure of any potential danger resulting from exposure to the cancer-causing chemical PCB. Several hours after the contractor's drill ruptured that hole in the gas main at Sacramento and Battery, cleanup workers discovered an oily film in the area that was found to contain PCB. Tonight, we're learning conflicting points of views as to how much PCB was there and how dangerous that PCB might be. We'll have several reports on the aftermath of all of this in just a moment. Our other top story tonight is the medfly. The war against the medfly was escalated tonight with the discovery of fertile medflies in Los Angeles County. State officials are calling the discovery an immense increase to the threat to California's $14 billion agricultural industry. Also today, a medfly was found in the city of Oakland. We'll have a reaction to all of this, plus details on the revised spraying plans in just a few minutes. Right now, we have reports on the aftermath of yesterday's gas leak and the consequent PCB spill in San Francisco's financial district. First of all, News Scene's Lee McCarran.
The cleanup from the gas main eruption lasted all through the night and well into today. Sand was spread down to soak up all the oil containing PCBs which had puddled up on the streets and sidewalks. After the sand removal, such as it was, came soap and water, scrubbing, sweeping, and the hard spray of water jets in the effort to decontaminate everything that had been coated. After the roaring gas was shut off and the gas main welded shut, the trouble could have ended very quickly had it not been for the presence of PCBs in the pump insulating oil which sprayed out with the gas. The expanding cloud of tiny oil droplets which spread from gutters to high-rises soon was recognized as the real problem. Although in concentrations of 25 parts per million, the PCBs were not generally considered to be an immediate serious hazard. All through the emergency, power seemed to shift from PG&E to police to Fire Chief Andrew Casper and in the end to this man, City Health Director Mervyn Silverman. He assumed authority and everything revolved around his decisions. When PG&E had cleaned up the streets to their own satisfaction and wanted to reopen, it was Silverman who countermanded that decision.
There's still some of the sand that was used as an absorbent material to pick up the whatever residue was there, and that is some of that's still in the ground. One of the problems they're having is some of these cars that are parked make it difficult to move this through. So what I've told them is they are not to open the street until the sand has been collected and disposed of.
At sunrise, a few streets around the Embarcadero still were closed to traffic, but most of the thousands of people who were evacuated from the area yesterday were able to find a detour route to their jobs. But meanwhile, Silverman at PG&E were having a fundamental disagreement. Not only did he think it was ludicrous for PG&E personnel to wear no protective equipment, not even gloves, during most of the cleanup, he didn't think PG&E's process of cleaning from the streets up was right. He suggested starting the cleanup at treetop level and working down. By the time PG&E workers had gotten to the trees and began vacuuming off the oil-coated leaves, the streets, sidewalk, and cars below already had been washed and promptly got a coating of PCB oil shaken down from the trees. And not only were the sidewalk trees coated, the expensive plants on display outside Podesta Baldacci Florists were ruined by an oil coating.
When the explosion went off, we had a girl out here minding our flower stand operation, and evidently they were ordered to evacuate. The flowers were all left outside. They couldn't have a chance to put them inside. They put the money in the safe, locked the doors, and went.
How much, what was the value of the flowers out here?
We're still making an inventory right now, and I spoke to Mr. Stark of PG&E, and he told me that they're going to, be responsible for everything and to make an inventory, and that's what we're in the process of doing now.
The owners of Schroeder's restaurant likewise took a financial punch from the evacuation, which cut into their lunch crowd and eliminated dinner, as it did to several restaurants.
That probably cost us somewhere around $2,500 to $3,000 last night because we had a lot of reservations and one thing else after another set up and people were calling. And after all, month of August is a big tourist season and we get a tremendous amount of tourists in our restaurant.
Overall, the costs to businesses undoubtedly will run into the millions, not only in lost income and merchandise, but in lost productivity from the massive high-rise evacuation. In the financial district, Lee McCarran, Channel 7 News Scene.